Please am and often Uju pleaded with the coppers. I only came to Copper Samuel to help me with my assignment. We are not going to harm you, said the coppers, but we are going to take turns on you. Uju tried to scream and call for help, but they quickly tied her mouth and took turns on her, but Copper Samuel had pity on her and wanted the other coppers to stop, and they turned at him and put a knife to his throat and forced him to take his own turn. They made him ejaculate into Uju and they all laughed at him, and Uju, yes, we videoed you doing it, they all said. The story of Uju and the cop members who took turns on her forcefully. It happened in a small village called Amuda. When the new corps members arrived at St. Michael's Secondary School, the whole town buzzed with excitement. Young, fresh graduates full of dreams, wearing their khaki uniforms proudly, they brought a new energy to the sleepy village. Among the students, Uju was the brightest star, a quiet, brilliant girl with a future everyone admired. One day, Copper Samuel walked into the classroom, a bright smile on his face. I am your new English teacher, he announced, his voice carrying a warmth that filled the room. And I would like to know all my students by name. The students, buzzing with excitement and curiosity, stood up one by one to introduce themselves. Laughter and chatter floated around as each person proudly said their name. But Uju was somewhere else entirely. She sat at her desk, lost in thought, staring blankly at the window as if seeing a world no one else could. Copper Samuel noticed her stillness and called out gently, "You, introduce yourself." But Uju didn't move. She didn't even seem to hear him. The class began to giggle, then laugh louder, pointing and whispering. Embarrassed for her, Copper Samuel walked over and lightly touched her shoulder. At that touch, Uju jerked violently, her eyes wide with terror, and suddenly she burst into tears, sobbing uncontrollably in front of the whole class. The laughter died immediately. A heavy, uncomfortable silence settled over the room. After the class ended and the other students had filed out, Copper Samuel gently called, "Uju, please wait behind." She obeyed, sitting quietly at her desk, her eyes fixed on the floor. Copper Samuel pulled a chair beside her and spoke softly. "Uju, why were you lost in thought during the class?" At his words, tears welled up in Uju's eyes again. She tried to speak but broke down, her small shoulders trembling. Copper Samuel leaned closer, offering her a clean handkerchief. "It's okay," he said gently. "You can talk to me. You can confide in me." Slowly, between broken sobs, Uju began to share her story. She told him how she used to be the brightest student in school, always taking first position in class, always standing proudly at field events, golden medals shining against her chest. "I wanted to be a lawyer," she whispered. "It was my dream. My everything." But then, one afternoon, she had come home from school to the worst news of her life. Her parents had been involved in a terrible motor accident. Both had died on the spot. Since that day, everything changed. Now, she was alone in the world. No family. No support. No money to continue her education. "My dreams are gone," she cried. "I can never be a lawyer. I feel like dying." The room was heavy with sadness, and Copper Samuel sat silently for a moment, letting her words sink in. Copper Samuel was deeply moved by Uju's story. His heart ached for the bright, broken girl sitting before him. He looked her in the eye and said softly, "You are still the brilliant girl you used to be. That hasn't changed." He leaned forward, speaking with a firm gentleness. I will help you get your confidence back. You can always come around to my lodge for extra classes. I'll assist you in any way I can." Uju wiped her tears, a small flicker of hope lighting in her chest for the first time in months. Copper Samuel's promise felt like a lifeline. She believed him, but little did she know, a hidden danger lurked behind his kindness. Soon, Uju began visiting Copper Samuel's lodge regularly for extra lessons. Slowly but surely, her grades improved. The spark that had once defined her began to return. She was laughing again, dreaming again. Copper Samuel was patient and encouraging. "You can do it," he would tell her, smiling warmly. "Keep trying." As the weeks went by, Uju grew deeply attached to him. She found herself sharing her dreams and hopes with him, her longing to one day move to the big city, to study law, to stand in court and defend the voiceless. "You can achieve anything you set your mind to," Copper Samuel would say. "Just study hard." He did more than teach her. He bought her food, clothes, even small gifts, little things she hadn't had since her parents died. He even gave her money when she needed it. Because of Copper Samuel, Uju felt like herself again. Her broken heart was slowly mending, but she had no idea that this trust was about to be tested in a way she never could have imagined. While Copper Samuel was busy helping Uju rebuild her life and studies, others were noticing something else about her. The other male coppers and young men around town began to whisper among themselves. They saw the beauty that Uju was growing into, a quiet, gentle beauty wrapped in sadness. They noticed how often she visited Copper Samuel's lodge, how sometimes she stayed late. Whispers turned into bold, ugly conversations. "She's always giving it to Copper Samuel," they sneered. "Why can't we have a taste too?" Fueled by jealousy and wicked thoughts, they decided to confront Copper Samuel. One afternoon, they found him standing by a tree near the school grounds. They approached him with sly smiles and low voices. "We wanted to talk to you about something," one of them said. "We see you with Uju all the time," another added. "She's always at your lodge, sometimes even late into the night." They leaned in closer, their voices dripping with cruelty. "Why don't you share her with us? She's beautiful. We also want our turn." Copper Samuel was stunned. He stared at them, his face hardening with shock and anger. "How dare you?" he thundered, his voice sharp and furious. "Uju is just a student. An orphan with no one to protect her. She comes to me for extra classes, for help. All I feel for her is pity. She needs guidance, not this evil you're planning." But the other coppers only laughed. They didn't believe him. They teased and jeered. "You're just being greedy," they said mockingly. "You want to keep her all to yourself." Copper Samuel's fist clenched at his side as rage and helplessness boiled within him. Without another word, he turned and walked away, their cruel laughter ringing behind him. His heart was heavy. He knew now, these men were dangerous. They didn't see Uju as a human being, they saw her as prey. From that day on, Copper Samuel became even more protective of Uju. He kept a close eye on her, warned her to leave for home earlier, and watched the shadows for signs of trouble. But in the dark corners of their minds, the other coppers had already made up their minds. They would not give up easily. Their evil plan had begun. One quiet afternoon, Uju made her way to Copper Samuel's lodge for her usual lesson, her books clutched tightly in her arms. She was hopeful, eager to learn something new, unaware of the evil waiting for her. When she got there, Copper Samuel was not home. Instead, the other male coppers, Musa, Ao, Obi, and Osei, were lounging around outside. "Go inside and wait for him," Musa said, giving her a sly smile. "He's coming soon." Trusting their words, Uju stepped into the lodge. As soon as she was inside, the men quickly followed, shutting and locking the door behind them. A chill ran down Uju's spine. She sensed danger, but before she could react, they grabbed her. She tried to scream, but they covered her mouth roughly. Struggling, kicking, crying, she fought them, but they were too many, too strong. One by one, they forced themselves on her, destroying her body and shattering her spirit. Then, in the midst of the horror, Copper Samuel walked in. Shock froze him to the spot as he saw what they were doing to Uju. But before he could act, they turned on him, pulling out knives. "Touch her," they threatened, "or we kill both of you." Terrified and cornered, Copper Samuel was forced to do the unthinkable. They made him assault Uju as they recorded it, laughing cruelly. They forced him to violate her and even forced him to ejaculate inside her, their final weapon to blackmail him. When they were done, they laughed and swaggered away, leaving devastation in their wake. Uju lay there on the floor, broken and weeping. Her body ached. Her heart was in pieces. Her innocence, her very soul, had been stolen. Copper Samuel sat in the corner, head buried in his hands, unable to believe what had just happened. He felt helpless, ashamed, and utterly lost. The next day, Copper Samuel couldn't bear to face Uju or himself. He abandoned his youth service, packed his few belongings, and disappeared without a trace. The other coppers, Musa, Ao, Obi, and Osei, completed their service the following week and left the village like nothing had happened. Uju, devastated, stopped going to school. She withdrew into herself, haunted by the horror she had suffered. Weeks later, Uju discovered something that shattered her all over again. She was pregnant from the assault. Her world crumbled completely. Still, gathering what little strength she had left, she made a decision. She returned to the school to report what had happened, her heart burning with pain and a desperate need for justice. Uju cried every day, feeling more broken and alone than she had ever felt in her life. The pain was endless, and the weight of what had happened seemed too much for her young heart to carry. The headmistress of the school, a stern but fair woman, promised Uju that she would do everything possible to find and punish the culprits. For a brief moment, Uju allowed herself a flicker of hope. But the village was cruel. The girls began to gossip. She was always going to Copper Samuel's lodge, they whispered. Now she's pretending she was raped. Why didn't she speak up before? Soon, everyone in the village had something to say about Uju. Every time she passed by, she was mocked, pointed at, humiliated. The shame and betrayal crushed her spirit even further. While the investigation slowly moved along, the other coppers, Musa, Ao, Obi, and Osei, tracked down Copper Samuel. They threatened him, their voices cold and serious. Take the blame, they said, or we will release the video and kill Uju. Copper Samuel knew they weren't bluffing. These men had already shown what evil they were capable of. Desperate to protect Uju, Copper Samuel secretly sent her a message. Leave the village immediately. My life is in danger. Yours is too? He gave her the address of his maternal grandmother in a distant village, begging her to flee and hide. Uju obeyed. She slipped away quietly, disappearing before the assassins the coppers sent could find her. Frustrated, the coppers released the terrible video on social media. It spread quickly, causing a national scandal. Copper Samuel was arrested, tried, and sentenced to life imprisonment. His father, a renowned and respected lawyer, disowned him in public shame. The disgrace was too much to bear. Before Samuel's trial even ended, his father suffered a massive heart attack and died. His wife, Samuel's mother, had already passed away years earlier. Meanwhile, before the scandal broke fully, Copper Samuel had managed to visit Uju at his maternal grandmother's house. He explained everything to her, his helplessness, the threats, the betrayal. Together with the kind old woman, they decided to keep Uju's whereabouts a strict secret, for her safety. In the care of Samuel's maternal grandmother, Uju found a small piece of peace. The woman, full of love and wisdom, treated Uju like her own granddaughter, nursing her through the darkest days of her pregnancy. When the time came, Uju gave birth to a baby boy, a bittersweet moment filled with both pain and hope. Though she lived with the deep scars of her past, Uju was not completely alone anymore. In the small house with Samuel's grandmother, surrounded by mountains and trees far from the noise of the world, she began the slow, painful journey of healing. 9 months later, Uju gave birth to a beautiful, bouncing baby boy. The moment she looked into his tiny face, she gasped. He looked exactly like his father, Copper Samuel. The same sharp nose, the same kind eyes. Tears rolled down Uju's cheeks, but this time, they were tears of mixed sorrow and joy. Despite all the pain, something beautiful had come from it. Her son was a living reminder of Samuel's goodness, not the evil that tried to destroy her. Samuel's maternal grandmother wept with happiness as she cradled her great-grandchild in her arms. She made a solemn promise to Uju. I will train you through school. You will become a lawyer, just like you dreamed. And together, we will reopen Samuel's case. We will fight to give him the justice he deserves. Uju's heart swelled with gratitude and hope. For the first time in a long time, she dared to believe that a better future was possible. Months later, Uju gathered her courage and went to visit Samuel in prison. She brought their baby boy with her. When Samuel saw them, Uju, standing strong, and his tiny son in her arms, his eyes filled with tears. He reached through the small opening to touch his son's hand, trembling. I have a reason to live again, Samuel whispered hoarsely. Uju held his hand tightly. I will fight for you, she promised. We will get you out. We will clear your name. Samuel's heart, battered and bruised by despair, found a reason to hold on. Meanwhile, far from the prison walls, the true monsters, Musa, Eo, Obi, and Osei, continued their evil ways. After finishing their youth service, they dove deeper into crime. They became notorious fraudsters, duping innocent people out of their money and belongings, leaving families shattered and lives broken. They lived lavishly, driving expensive cars, traveling the world, throwing parties where women flocked around them. But behind the wealth was pure darkness. They expanded into drug trafficking, child trafficking, kidnapping, and even rituals. There was no repentance in them, no guilt, no humanity. They found joy only in causing pain and suffering. Their evil knew no limits. They had the good things of life, but their souls were rotting. Yet, unknown to them, their day of reckoning was drawing near. Uju went back to school, more focused and determined than ever before. She had a purpose now, not just to survive, but to fight. Every step she took, every book she read, every exam she wrote, was with one thing in mind: freeing Samuel and clearing his name. She became the brightest star in her department, in fact, in the entire faculty. She won awards for academic excellence, and even bagged a prestigious scholarship that eased her financial burdens. Samuel's maternal grandmother beamed with pride, caring for little Samuel as Uju pressed forward with her dreams. Little Samuel grew into a brilliant, handsome boy, the very light in their lives. His laughter filled their small home, and even in difficult times, he reminded Uju and his great-grandmother that joy was still possible. But life, as always, had its sorrows. One day, while at school, young Samuel got into a fight. A cruel classmate had mocked him, calling his mother a whore and his father a rapist rotting in jail. Samuel fought back bravely, but the pain of the words cut deep. Around the same time, Samuel's great-grandmother fell gravely ill. She sent for Uju urgently. When Uju arrived, she found the old woman lying weakly on her bed, her breathing shallow. "Uju," she whispered, clutching Uju's hand, "you must take Samuel with you now. I am old. I don't have much time left." Tears filled Uju's eyes as the woman continued. "Promise me, promise you will get justice for my grandson. Don't let evil win." "I promise," Uju said, her voice breaking. The old woman blessed Uju and little Samuel with her final strength, and then, peacefully, she passed away. Heartbroken but strong, Uju took Samuel to the prison to see his father. There, she broke the news to Samuel, her eyes filled with tears but her voice steady. "Hold on, Samuel," she said through the thick glass separating them, "I'm coming for you soon." After the funeral, Uju returned to the city with her son, carrying not just her grief, but also a burning fire inside her. Uju graduated with top honors. She was admitted to the bar, and soon after began practicing law. She was a force to be reckoned with, sharp, fearless, relentless, and quickly made a name for herself, winning every single case she handled. But she hadn't forgotten her true mission. It was time. One evening, after putting little Samuel to sleep, Uju sat at her desk, her eyes burning with determination. Now, she whispered to herself, it's time to find the coppers. The hunt for justice had begun. Uju, now known as Beauty, went straight into the lion's den. Dressed in a dazzling, seductive gown, she walked into the luxurious nightclub owned by the once corrupt coppers, now billionaires steeped in crime. Musa spotted her immediately. His eyes couldn't leave her. So did Obi, Ao, and Osei. They all wanted her. But Musa got to her first. Uju, Beauty, danced with him that night, her body moving with grace and temptation. As the music paused, she leaned in close, whispering with a coy smile, "My name is Beauty." Before slipping him her number and walking away, leaving him stunned and desperate for more. That night, Musa couldn't sleep. First thing the next morning, he called her. Beauty played her role perfectly. She smiled warmly whenever they met, promising Musa she would be his, but only after she understood him better. "I don't want to be used," she said sweetly. "I want to know the real you before I become your woman." Blinded by greed and lust, Musa agreed. He began to open up to her, especially when he was drunk. He bragged about his drug empire, about the scams, the human trafficking, the dirty rituals. Beauty secretly recorded it all. The others, Obi, Ao, and Osei, didn't mind Musa bringing her into their inner circle. After all, they thought once Musa was done with her, they would have their turn. Unknowingly, they were setting their own trap. Despite all Musa's efforts, he never touched Beauty. She skillfully kept him at arm's length, pretending to be the perfect, obedient future wife. Musa, under her spell, even began marriage preparations. Meanwhile, Uju, Beauty, was working tirelessly in the shadows. With all the evidence she had gathered, the recordings, the documents, the secret transactions, she handed everything over to the authorities quietly. Before their high-priced lawyers could scramble, the investigation was locked, and arrest warrants were issued. When they were arrested, Uju continued visiting them in detention, still playing the role of the worried lover to gather even more information. Finally, the court day arrived. The courtroom was packed. Cameras flashed. Journalists scribbled notes furiously. The moment came. Uju stepped forward, no longer Beauty, but Uju, the brilliant lawyer, burning with righteousness, dressed sharply in her lawyer's robe and wig. With the evidence she had gathered, she exposed Musa, Ao, Obi, and Osei for who they truly were: drug lords, traffickers, fraudsters, and rapists. She even reopened the old case of Samuel, presenting undeniable evidence of his innocence and the conspiracy against him. The verdict was swift and thunderous. Death by hanging for all four men. Samuel was exonerated and awarded a huge compensation for the years he spent unjustly behind bars. When Samuel walked out of prison a free man, Uju and little Samuel were there waiting for him. Together, they left the town that had held so many dark memories. They moved to a new state, a fresh beginning. There, they built a life filled with love, laughter, and light. Uju and Samuel had 3 more beautiful children and lived happily ever after. Their story became a legend, a story of pain, betrayal, revenge, and ultimately, justice. Moral of the story: karma is real. Whatever evil you do, it will find you. Always choose good, because evil never wins in the end. If you follow this story to the end, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for supporting this journey.
Title: The Serpent Penis and the Untouchable Girl. Prologue: The Whispering River. Long before Obina was born, the river by the village was whispered about in old songs. Elders said it flowed between the mortal world and the realm of water spirits. Once, a priest who tried to harness its powers vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a gourd filled with sand and the faint sound of hissing in the night. Some called the river cursed. Others called it sacred. But all agreed, never go there at night. Chapter 1: Hunger and Hope. Obina's childhood was a patchwork of struggle. His father, a fisherman, drowned during a storm. His mother, Momongozi, worked herself to the bone just to keep food on the table. Obina took odd jobs, fetching water, carrying firewood, helping at the market. Still, hunger was a constant companion. But Obina was different. He read every book the school teacher lent him. He dreamed of a life beyond the village, of Lagos, of London, of greatness. One night, after yet another argument over empty plates, Obina stormed out and walked toward the forbidden river. That night would change everything. Chapter 2: The Queen Below. The water shimmered unnaturally. Obina was drawn like a moth to flame. Ezumizu rose from the river, glowing and terrible. She wore coral around her neck and had the face of a woman but eyes like a shark. Her voice was music and madness. She spoke of contracts, kingdoms, and transformation. The pact was sealed not with ink, but with blood, sweat, and tears. The transformation was excruciating. His screams echoed through the hills, but no one came. When he woke, the serpent called silently inside him. The queen was gone. But he had power now. Chapter 3: The Rise. Obina's rise was meteoric. He opened his first bar in Port Harcourt. Within 2 years, he had a club in Abuja, a hotel in Accra, and a fashion label in Johannesburg. Women threw themselves at him. He was magnetic, mysterious, untouchable. But his conquest left trails of ruin. One woman, Chioma, once a lawyer on the path to becoming a judge, disappeared after a single night with Obina. Another, Linda, a gospel singer with a voice like honey, lost her voice and sanity after the affair. The serpent fed. Obina's power grew. But so did the emptiness inside him. Chapter 4: Shadows and Echoes. Not everyone believed Obina's success was natural. In secret, whispers grew. A spiritualist named Boba Ifani, known for exposing evil covenants, began investigating. He visited villages, interviewed the ruined women, and gathered cursed items. He spoke of a snake prince rising in the city. Meanwhile, Mama Ngozi fell gravely ill. She sent a message, "Obina, my son, please come home." He tried. He bought a ticket, packed a suitcase. But the serpent hissed and bit into his side, drawing blood. That night, a warning appeared in his dream. "You are ours now. Betray us, and you die." Chapter 5: The Girl Who Would Not Fall. Amora arrived in the city to run a non-profit that rescued trafficked girls and taught them trades. She wasn't flashy. She dressed in ankara and wore no makeup. But she walked with the confidence of thunderclouds. Obina noticed her first at a charity gala. She looked him in the eye and didn't blink. He sent flowers. She returned them. He invited her to Dubai. She sent him Bible verses. He sent men to watch her. They returned with empty hands, no secrets, no weakness. Obina became obsessed. And the serpent became restless. Chapter 6: The Unraveling. As Amora and Obina grew closer, strange things began to happen. The serpent grew unpredictable, biting without cause, refusing to feed, even calling tighter when Amora was near. His businesses began to suffer. His partners turned against him. Dreams of fire and judgment haunted him. He began seeing visions of women he destroyed, now walking through his mansion, whispering curses. And Amora. She remained calm, untouched, unaffected. Until the night of reckoning. Chapter 7: The Judgment. The room was prepared, candles, silk sheets, wine. Obine tried to seduce her. She let him. But when he tried to take her, the serpent screamed. His body convulsed. Blood poured from his nose. The floor cracked. The lights exploded. Amora stood, her skin glowing, her eyes shining like stars. "I am not a woman like the others," she said, her voice now layered with divine energy. "I am a sword, a vessel of justice." The serpent tore out of him, burning as divine fire engulfed it. Wealth, fame, cars, all reduced to ash. Amora knelt beside him. "You were given power. You chose to steal purpose. Now you return to dust." Chapter 8, Ashes and Beginnings. Obina woke on the riverbank, body trembling, heart shattered. He staggered to the village. Nobody recognized him. Only his mother did. She wept. He stayed. Walked the land. Taught young men about spiritual traps. He helped orphan children, told his story again and again. Some laughed at him. Others wept. But one day, when a desperate boy said he was thinking of going to the river, Obina held him close and whispered, "No kingdom of darkness gives gifts without blood." Epilogue: A light in the river. Years later, the river glowed once more. But this time, a woman stood beside it, not Ezumizu, but Amora. She whispered a prayer and poured oil on the waters. The spirits howled once and were silent. And the river was still.